This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the new Prologue EV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to anfieldindexpro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to Daily Red. I am not one of the Daves. But Dave is on one of his off days and Dave D is on his way to the game, so you're stuck with me. And we might as well start with the game. We obviously play Bologna tonight under the lights at Anfield. I'm guessing quite a lot of people would feel confident. Bologna not started the season too well, to my knowledge. I'll just open up Serie A, which is one of the only tabs I've not bloody opened. They are currently, 13th. So, yeah, we should go into this game feeling confident. And I suppose the question is, do we just try and secure the win? Or do we try and tinker with the squad a bit, or the first team a bit, I should say? It's a good question to ask, and it's a good question for me to delve on, for something to talk about in this podcast. I mean, if we go through it, Alisson 99% will start, unless there's any little niggles after his injury, and maybe just Kelleher's fine. We all know that he's very good. He should be a Premier League goalkeeper by now. Trent at right back, he played pretty okay to well against Wolves, I thought. Not too much excitement in terms of on ball, but he defended quite well. Not really too troubled in the game, apart from his silly yellow card. Conor Bradley's been getting quite consistent minutes. Wouldn't surprise me, but we know he'll probably play both games for Northern Ireland in the upcoming international break, so he will be getting football one way or the other. So Slot might look at it that way. Centre-back, Van Dijk will probably play. I suppose the question is Kanate. We know the injury issues are there. It's just, we obviously don't know how the new medical department and physios, etc., view it. We know Klopp and the old group rotated quite a bit, but this seems to be, I believe it's more of a Dutch thing. We all remember the Dutch fitness egg, where you just play as much as possible. It seemed, I don't want to talk about all the wood, ladies and gentlemen. But he's playing so well and so consistent, and whilst he's fit, why not keep playing him? But is he more important for a game like Crystal Palace, where Mateta's had a pretty bad start to the season, but We saw the issues he caused us last season. I can't remember who we had at centre-back in that game. But it feels like if you wanted to play Kwanzaa or Gomez in one of the games, it'd probably be this one. Left-back is one of the positions we've rotated quite frequently. Tsimikas has got consistent minutes. We did see Gomez come on as a sub at left-back in the Wolves game, which is quite interesting, but that might have just been a defensive situation rather than a starting situation. So it wouldn't surprise me if Tsimikas is starting tonight. Probably be surprised if Gomez started at left-back. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a couple changes in the full-back positions, maybe one at full-back and maybe one at centre-back, but I'd guess Kanate and Van Dijk at this stage. Midfield's probably the one, considering there's a couple injuries up front and obviously Darwin's just back from illness and stuff like that. But midfield's the one, isn't it? Because Gravenberch's playing so well, but almost similarly with Ibu, he's never really played a lot of minutes. Obviously, last season he was unfortunately injured a bit and was in and out of the side, but Bayern he never really played too much. He's not really been a regular since his Ajax days, and this is probably the first season, to my knowledge anyway, where he is getting consistent minutes, and we all know from the UP lads about workload and minutes and stuff like that, and we saw the effect of it on Dom Szoboszlai last year, where he kind of just fell off a cliff physically. Do we think about protecting Gravenberch in that way? But again, similarly with Ibu, he's playing so bloody well. Another man of the match at the weekend. It was obviously a weird game. You probably could have handed man of the match to a few people and nobody had blink an eye. But he was good again. It's just an interesting conundrum because we've obviously got Jones, who he's probably better suited in terms of the two midfield roles rather than Szoboszlai's role, or to me he is anyway. You've got Tyler Morton, who's probably wanting some minutes, but it might be one for the League Cup, although we got Brighton, so that's not an easy game. I'd like to see him come on as a sub a little bit. We've got Endo, who was fine in the League Cup game. McAllister plays all the time, so I'm guessing it'll be McAllister plus one of these. It wouldn't surprise me if it's Gravenberch, and then we sub on one of the others. But I think the big question mark's Dom, because he seems to be the one that's getting debated quite heavily in the fan base, which I can certainly see why, because his on-ball game especially is very, very up and down at the minute. And you see like quite a few people calling him basically crap. He's clearly not crap. Like, he's obviously in a bad way with some of the on-ball stuff, but we saw it in games like Milan. He was really good. He scored a goal. Wolves, the whole team, or especially the whole attack just didn't really click. Forest, he was awful, but again, the whole team didn't click that day. But he's been good in other games. It's just, again, the fan base does love a scapegoat, and we've all been guilty of that. I've been guilty of that. I've picked out many players in the past that I didn't fancy. I mean, the Henderson debate went on for so many years. Milner debate. Everyone remembers the day of Emre Can versus Henderson. Lovren versus Sacco. I mean, there's so much, let's be honest, bollocks over the years in terms of discourse around certain players, and they obviously all played a role. I mean, the Henderson one, for example, I think some people were harsh on him when he was good, and then some people, when Henderson's legs clearly were hanging on for dear life of him being what he was. It's a weird stage, but in terms of Dom, even without him playing well, I think he's got an important role that I don't see many other people bringing to the first team. I think Gravenberch has the power, the running power, I should say, to kind of do what Dom does, but I just don't think he's that type of player. I think Dom will run all day, every game. He will put in the kilometres. I think Gravenberch has the capability to do that, but naturally I think Gravenberch wants to be on the ball, whereas Dom, Dom will want to be on the ball as well, but I don't see many or any other number 10s in the league who you'd see him sprinting back, covering right back, and doing really well. Now, I know he was doing that last season when he was playing more as an 8 than a 10, but you don't want to compare him to like Kevin De Bruyne, because De Bruyne is one of one. But in terms of how we're playing, and we've obviously got a unique weapon in Trent, and we've got to try and get our best out of Trent to be as best as we can. Having someone like Dom who will do that dirty work, he'll press his legs off, he'll track runners, he'll fill spaces. I'm not saying he's irreplaceable, but like Odegaard, for example. Odegaard's clearly been a lot better than Dominik Szoboszlai in terms of on-ball stuff. But would Odegaard be a better fit for this Liverpool team in the current fit? You'd take Odegaard and you tinker around it. But I feel like in terms of getting the best out of pressing, getting the best out of Trent, getting runners in midfield, it's a tough one. It's a tough comparison to make. I'm not saying Szoboszlai is better than Odegaard, no shot. But I think Szoboszlai is such a unique fit that's helping the system without catching the eye. It's a bit straight. It is almost Henderson-ish. It really is. I think in the early Klopp days especially, I think Henderson was very key in terms of making the system work. I think Szoboszlai is that, but I think he can be so much more, because I think there's a lot more to come on ball. We saw it at the start of last season. I know it's a long time ago now, but the quality on the ball is undeniable. We see it for Hungary. We see it in flashes so far this season. Yeah, Dom's just a weird one, but in terms of this game, sorry for going on a rant there. In terms of this game, I mean, do we take him out the limelight a bit? Maybe that's where Jones can come in and we start Gravenberch and McAllister. I'm seeing a lot of predicted sides come in and talk about Jones, especially after the last couple of sub-appearances, deserving a start. That's probably the easiest change to make, but is taking Dom out the limelight going to do more harm than good? Because we saw he got a goal against Milan, as I mentioned. If he gets a goal against Bologna, it could just help his confidence, but would taking him out the team damage his confidence? It's a tough one to make. I'd probably rest Gravenberch out of the three and then bring him back in for Palace and see what the situation is ahead of that game. But I think you'd probably want to start subbing off Dom and Gravenberch. Well, probably all three of the midfielders, because we obviously don't have the greatest depth in midfield. So I'd probably think about protecting them early if we get games won early. Yeah, Dom's a weird one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jones starts, but I think he'll probably start the usual three. The attack's weird, isn't it? It's Mo will play, because I think Mo loves the Champions League. I think he just wants to keep extending the goal scoring record in the Champions League. And it's weird to say, we know his dream is the Ballon d'Or, which is probably every footballer's dream. And to do that, I think you have to show off in the Champions League. So I think he'll start, especially with Chiesa missing the game. So there's not really well, I don't think Chiesa's like for like, is he? But I don't think there's a natural option on that right-hand side. The other two positions are interesting. I think Gakpo's done enough to get a start. I think we can rest Diaz. I think Gakpo's been excellent. The Cup game, he was phenomenal. The last Champions League game, he was great as well. He came on and made a good impact against Wolves, I thought. And then I'd say Darwin. Obviously, Jota missed 2 days of training, I think it was. Or was it 1 day or 2 sessions or whatever it is? So I think it's just an easy rest for him to have. And obviously, there's a new team of the week out on EAFC that he has to go and buy, which is the old joke. But yeah, I think the front three. Now, if Jota appears, it wouldn't surprise me. If Diaz appears, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think Gakpo definitely deserves a start. Obviously, Darwin, he was back in training today and I think yesterday. I might be wrong in that. Darwin's obviously had a bit of a weird season. He's not really had the biggest impact from the bench. Which game did he start? Was it Bournemouth? I think it was Bournemouth. He played well in. The head's gone fuzzy. But he obviously scored in his start. The cup game he was kind of quiet in. So I think Gakpo will definitely start. And we do have to start getting Darwin kicking again. Like, I think it's weird because all of Arne Slot's system is about control. And this is a player we've talked about chaos with for 2 years now. I think it's going to be a weird transition for Darwin. And it'll be interesting to see how he does develop. And I think we do need to start giving him minutes, especially with Mo. And I mean, you could say Diaz is obviously the one of one on the left wing as well, but I think you need to see him in more of the first team system. The League Cup was obviously much changed. If we are to actually make him become a number 9 for an Arne Slot team, it's an interesting dynamic. But yeah, I'd go with Salah, Darwin, and Gakpo for the front line. And in terms of bench, I mean, we don't know if Jota will be fit, etc. But I'd like to see Morton come on and get some minutes. I'd like to see Gomez get some minutes if we can from the bench. Kwanzaa, it's always good to see because he's such an excellent prospect.
Sports Social, now on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
We've got a brand new NFL season to enjoy, and that means all new episodes of The Nat Coombs Show, where I'm joined by some of the very best NFL broadcasters in the business.
Even when the roster is not stacked, he can still pull those wins out.
This dude accelerates through it. And I was like, did he really get through the hole that fast?
We get you up to speed on everything you need to know about America's game. The major news, big game previews, reaction to all the action, and plenty more besides. So join us for the ride. Just search The Nat Coombs Show on your podcast platform of choice.
I mean, I haven't seen the under-19 squad, which probably kicked off by now. I'm not sure if Trey's in that. He probably is. I will open that up whilst I'm chatting Wham. It's an interesting one. I mean, in terms of predictions, I think we should win, even if we rotate heavily. As I mentioned, Bologna are not doing too well. It kicks off at 2, which is 3 minutes time, and is Trey there? He's not starting. Trey is with the first team, seemingly. Yeah, so Trey might be there. I think he obviously travelled with the League Cup team as well, but he didn't get on the bench. But it'd be nice to see Trey get some minutes if he is on the bench. Yeah. So I think that'll be the team. I think we'll win. Hopefully, we don't have a stupid 10 minutes like we did against Milan, where we went one behind. But we showed good resilience there and came back and played well. So hopefully we keep a clean sheet as well, because that'd be nice to get back in the rhythm of that. So I'll go with a nice 2-0 for tonight. But other news, let's have a look at This Is Anfield, which is always the best one for Liverpool news. And you know what Dave says, this is the best site for writing and stuff like that. And it certainly is. But we've got their 9 key things to know. I won't go through all of them because, well, that'd be boring. It's already boring enough listening to me. Team news, Chiesa's missed training, as I mentioned there. As Slot said, I'm not expecting him to be out for a very long period of time, but this game is not possible for him, and we have to wait and see if he can be managed to be in the team on Saturday. Yeah, kind of disappointing, but obviously it was a few big injuries for Chiesa and didn't have a pre-season, so we just got to be uber careful with him. He also mentioned Jota missing a few. Diogo missed out 2 sessions after the game against Wolves. He took a knock. And then he said, I'm expecting him to be with us tomorrow, that he's available to play. So it'll probably be in the squad at the very least. As I mentioned, I'd kind of want Darwin to start, but if Jota just appears, it wouldn't shock me. Darwin and Robbo both trained as usual. Obviously, Robbo took a nasty tackle, didn't he, on his Achilles? And Darwin obviously was ill to start the way and missed the game, didn't he? Only people missing is Harvey and Jayden Danns and James McConnell. I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a shame, especially Harvey, because I think he'd probably be getting good rotational minutes, especially in games like this. As I mentioned, Dom's kind of in the limelight. You'd probably have Harvey as the natural backup to Dom. Probably different players, but positionally anyway. Jayden was obviously going to go to Plymouth, so not too big a miss if he's back by January. I'm not sure what his actual injury is. It wouldn't surprise me if he's out on loan, but... and Jayden McConnell was very good at times last year, so it'd be nice to see him in some cup minutes by the time the FA Cup rolls around, or even if he's back for the League Cup. I think I saw he's back on the training pitch or something like that the other day. This is Anfield's starting 11 prediction. Alisson, Trent, Kanate, Van Dijk, Tsimikas, Gravenberch, Jones, McAllister, Salah, Nunes and Gakpo. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. As I mentioned, it's kind of similar to mine. The Dom question mark kind of there. Bologna's selection problems. Sold Calafiori, who's been good for Arsenal so far, and Joshua Zirkzee, who's been bad for United so far. I wonder who's gone up as a club out of them two teams. Manager Vincenzo, don't know what I just said there. Italiano is having to cope without captain Lewis Ferguson, who has an ACL injury, as well as fellow midfielders Uzama El Azawi. I'm worse than Dave with names, let's go with that. And Tommaso Pobega. This season they have managed just one win in 7 games so far, but did show promise at the weekend, as with 10 men they almost scraped a win over Atalanta before the Europa League champions made it 1-1 in injury time. The Italians' biggest threats against Liverpool should be on the flanks, with both Dan N'Doye, who was very good for Switzerland in the Euros, and Riccardo Orsolini, very much capable of beating their man. Yeah, so listing is scouted, which I'm sure many of you have by now. They were the two. I think there were 2 of the names Dave and Carl picked out for the Danger Men. So yeah, I think Orsolini was the one they picked out especially. So it'll be interesting to see how our fullbacks deal with them too. Slot talked about how making the atmosphere good and how the players and the fans, I think he was going on about, showing the Champions League how much they've missed Liverpool, because let's be honest, the Europa League was awful last year, and I will never enjoy that competition. It's Alisson's birthday. He's 32. Still needs his beard back. He looked naked without it. But happy birthday to Alisson. It's his birthday today. Hopefully we can gift him with a clean sheet. And then it's basically a quiet night for him. It'd be nice. But yeah, happy birthday, Alisson. Best goalkeeper in my time supporting the club. It's not really close nowadays. It's only really Ray Clements. That seems to be in the discussion, unless I'm forgetting anyone obvious. But yeah, Alisson's just phenomenal. He's a phenomenon, isn't he? I saw a TikTok the other day where it was talking about how people were... I think it was an old TikTok, but it was like Alisson was getting mentioned with Peter Schmeichel and Petr Cech, and he said, why do modern fans do this and introduce new players into discussions about being the best in their position? He is one of the best. Like, I didn't see Schmeichel, obviously. I saw Man City Schmeichel and Aston Villa Schmeichel. But Petr Cech had a very long and successful career. I mean, before his head injury, it's probably one of the scariest goalkeepers anyone's ever seen. And then post his head injury, maybe not the same level of confidence, but the massive performances won them a Champions League. He was a phenomenon. Yeah, I think Alisson's definitely in that conversation. I don't think it's any doubt in that. He's the way he sweeps, the way... I think people just want more spectacular saves from goalkeepers, and I think Alisson's that good positionally. Just the way he saves 1v1s and makes saves look easy. Like, we have seen phenomenal saves, like the Newcastle one last year jumps to my head. But it's just the way he makes, say, difficult saves look kind of comfortable. I think that's the real power of Alisson Becker. He's just a phenomenon. He really is. Other fixtures to look out for. Obviously, this is a Liverpool one, a Liverpool podcast. But if you do have two screens going, I mean, Villa are hosting a buy-in tonight. So if you have got the two screens on, you can watch that one. That's probably the best to keep an eye out on. McAllister had his part of the press conference. I'm sure you've seen it by now. Referee, who cares? They're all bad. Yeah, so not too much interesting, but obviously happy birthday to Alisson. Let's move on. I don't want to go stupidly long because I always have a cut tip for going long, but just one interesting transfer story. I'm not sure if Davis covered it yesterday because it did. No, it broke quite late. It broke at 5, so you wouldn't have covered it. I think it was Chris Wheeler of the Daily Mail mentioned our name with Jared Branthwaite, who we've been linked with. Not by any, like, the Joyces and Ornsteins and stuff like that, but when he was at PSV, obviously on loan from Everton, there was links to him back then, so I'm not surprised if we are seriously considering a big move for someone like him, because it does seem to be the current tactical evolution, doesn't it, of a left-footed centre-back at left-back, just to add a bit more security there. And I think, obviously, Arne Slot did that with Gertrude as a right centre-back at right-back, obviously. But we can't do that with Trent there. Robert's been fine this season, I think. I think he's had a bit up and down games at times, but I think he's been more steady this season than probably the last couple seasons, which is good. But we do have to look for a successor. And if we can buy someone like Branthwaite, who could probably play left back, especially if it's a bit more defensive than what Robbo's showing, and then we could probably think of Branthwaite as the successor to Van Dijk, if we bloody hopefully get his contract sorted. I think it makes sense. I mean, the price tag they've put here is 70 million, which would be our second highest, depending what Darwin is. Depends on the add-ons for Darwin, I think, but it'd be the second in terms of just the mentioned fee. I mean, the last centre-back we went big on, over 70-odd mil, was Van Dijk, and I'm sure we would have all really accepted paying more than double that now. So if we think Branthwaite can be as transformational or just be a simple continuation, at 70 mil, it is well worth it, and he's only young. It makes sense. I think there'd probably be better value for money out there, but I've kind of just contradicted myself there. But if we think he's the one, make him the one. And it'd boil all the blue piss out there. So, yeah, why not? I mean, maybe if the Everton ownership situation stayed as is, it would have been easier, but if they've got more stability with the Friedkin group now, it might be tougher. And I'm pretty sure Everton fans would probably rather the club went under than sell us Branthwaite. But if we can convince him that it's only us he wants to go to, it might force the hand. I'm guessing he'll still have PSR problems for the near future. I'm not sure how it works exactly. But yeah, if Branthwaite's a possibility, why not go for it? And you get the added-on bonus of annoying the Blues. On to anfieldindex.com. Podcast first. We've obviously had all the pre-match stuff, scouted, post-conference presser. We've uploaded the actual press conference from Alexis and Slot. I don't think I've missed anything. I think there was meant to be an under pressure, but that just seemed to disappear. I'm sure that'll be out later in the week. Maybe they'll throw in the Champions League game. Let me get the host group up, just why not? We obviously had the Media Matters, Red Alert for the September review. Yeah, UP was meant to be last night. Those nerds. Yeah, Raw tonight is Harry and Irish in stereo. So yeah, that should be live from Discord about 10ish. And by 10ish, I probably mean like 10:15, because, well, you know. If you're in there, you know. But yeah, if it about 10, be online about 10, and I'll pop in and I'll keep you updated. But yeah, as I said, it's Harry. Later in the week, we've got an interesting Pro Plus from Eddie. Tomorrow morning, I believe. We've got a Stat Me Up. We've got post-conference presser. I think we've got Molby. Yes, we got Molby on Thursday, and then we've got AI podcast on Friday. Mindfield's back this week, and Scouted, I think, is me and Carl this week for Palace. But yeah, that's for later. That's for after the Bologna game. But on Palace, I mean, on anfieldindex.com, I'll pick out one of the stories to look at. It looks like we're linked with Eberechi Eze. If we didn't have Dom, I'd kind of understand it. But we've already got Dom. Dom's younger. I think Dom fits us better, as I mentioned earlier on with the discussion. I think he has more running power, and I think that suits us better. Now, if we bought Eze, it says 68 million in the title there. I just don't think we need that, because I think he could obviously play on the left, but we have loads of left wingers. Dom could play a left wing. Gakpo's finally getting his chance to the left wing and doing really well. Diaz has had his best start to a season probably since his January move, since that initial form from his move, I should say. Yeah, it's a weird one. I really like Eze, but I just don't see, unless... Well, there's no point, because Slot obviously isn't a big fan of rotation, and that might change when we get into the real thick of the season, but we know Dom, unless he gets injured, he has a lot of minutes in him. He can play a lot of games, so buying someone for 68 mil to rotate with Dom sounds a bit daft to me. Unless we think Dom can play further back, and then Eze could be the 10. I suppose that's a possibility, but I don't think so. It's an interesting one. I think everyone in the fan base would probably take Eze. It's just whether, as we know, we have a limited budget with FSG and the lads, and I'm not going to make it into one of them, but would spending 70-odd mil on a 10 be the best way, considering we have 3 contracts to sort out. We have a number 6. It's not an issue anymore. It's probably a conundrum. Like, do we need to find someone to start for Gravenberch, or do we need to find someone to rotate with Gravenberch, or do we just let Bajcetic become that player, etc. But that's a position we look at. Like we mentioned Branthwaite a second ago. That left centre back is one to keep an eye on. We obviously have the Gomez rumours rumbling all summer. So centre back will probably be one to look at. As I mentioned, if Trent goes, we need to start in right back. If Mo goes, we need to start in right winger. If Van Dijk goes, we need to set fire at the club. But yeah, there's a lot to do, and spending money on a number 10 is probably not it. But Eze is a very good player. But I've been waffling on for over half an hour now. So I'll leave you in peace. But yeah, the 2 days obviously busy and off, so hopping on. Hopefully I've not been too rambly. But thank you for listening, everyone. Hopefully a win tonight. Up the Reds. Thanks for listening.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.